Hello, everyone, and welcome to the accessibility webinar for King students. My name is Josh Young. I do recruitment and admissions here at King's, and I'm joined by Michelle Mahoney, who is our student accessibility officer here at King's, and Allison Young, who's a student access advisor with the Student Accessibility Center on campus for both King's and Dalhousie students. So before we get going, we're just going to wait until everybody kind of cycles in and um, gets into the webinar. So before we begin, I'd just like to mention something off the top. If you have any questions about like the quality of the webinar, if you're having trouble hearing something or um, you yeah, like that'd be the main issue. But anything about the quality of the webinar, you can put it into the chat. But if you have a specific question for Michelle or Allison, the question and answer period will be at the end of the webinar, and you can put those questions into the Q&A function. So the chat is for anything you want to get in contact us about specifically to the webinar, while the Q&A will be for accessibility related questions that you can ask at the end, or that will answer at the end. So I think it's been a minute here. We might have some others trickle in, but thank you all for joining us so far, and let's get going. So before we begin, I'd just like to provide a few land acknowledgements. So first of all, we would like to begin by recognizing the land upon which we work, live, and gather is the traditional territory and ancestral homeland of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Our relationship is based off a series of sacred and historical treaties that give us a walking point of how to all live in peace and harmony here in Mi'kma'ki. As we reflect on our presence as treaty people in Nova Scotia, we also commit ourselves to fostering an environment where accessibility is not only recognized, but actively promoted, allowing for every member of our community to fully participate, engage, and thrive. And I'd also like to add that Kings, so Mi'kma'ki is an area that incorporates a lot of Atlantic Canada, not all of it, but a lot of Atlantic Canada is in Mi'kma'ki. Kings itself is in Shubuktux, which is the Mi'kmaq name for Halifax. Shubuktux means Great Harbor. So when you come to Kings in a week, that's where you'll be. You'll be in Shubuktux, which is in Mi'kma'ki. Kings also has itself tried to do our part in fostering a great relationship with the Mi'kmaq people. We have a Mi'kmaq journalism student initiative where we cover the tuition for 3 Mi'kmaq students who are interested in pursuing journalism. We also have 2 courses. One is called Reporting Mi'kma'ki, where students go into a Mi'kmaq community and learn how to report on their communities in a knowledgeable and ethical way. We also have a required course called Indigenous Reporting, where students will learn about the histories and knowledge and ethics that it takes to report knowledgeably on the Mi'kmaq community. And also, we also like to acknowledge the existence of the Black or African Nova Scotian community who have been in Halifax, or been in Nova Scotia, I should say, for over 400 years. May we honor and offer gratitude to the ancestors who came before us to this land and their commitment to not let this history be lost. And I should also mention we just announced this, students from African Nova Scotia heritage can also come to King's and study journalism, and we'll cover the tuition for 3 of those students every year, which is wonderful as well. So now I'll pass it off to Michelle to get us started here. So Michelle, take it away.
All right, thanks, Josh. Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Mahoney. I'm the Accessibility Officer at the University of King's College, and you'll get to know me when you come next week. I'm located in the Link area. I do tell everybody that I have the coolest office on campus. It's a pretty fun office. I hope that you do come and visit me. My door is open anytime, and I look forward to meeting all of you when you come to King's. So today I'm just going to go over the agenda of what we're going to do. We have the lovely Allison from the Student Accessibility Center who is going to show us all about the accommodations and what the processes are. And then we have a lot of time for questions. And yeah, so we'll just continue on with the next slide, please. Yeah, so here is the Student Accessibility Center. This is the Student Accessibility Center is located on the Dalhousie University campus. We have a shared uh, or some of the student or all of the student services that are at Dalhousie and Kings are shared. So we have a relationship with Dalhousie that we share the Student Accessibility Center for one. So here is the Student Accessibility Center, the entrance into the center. So I love to show this because my next slide shows you exactly where it is located at the Killam Library, located on the Dalhousie campus. I've put these arrows. I know it looks probably a little overwhelming because that is a very big building. And so just behind the little trees there and that sign is the front sign to the Accessibility Center from the previous slide. So I think I'm going to hand things off to Allison now to talk about all kinds of accommodations and what you can expect.
Perfect. Thanks, Michelle. And yeah, I wish I had a picture like Michelle shared when I was trying to find the office on my first day of work. Always a little bit intimidating. How I like to share with people is if you've made it to Subway, you've gone too far. Our office is as soon as you get in the door to the right, and the universal access button is on that door that Michelle so nicely showed us. So I am, as Michelle said and Josh said, I am an access advisor at the Student Accessibility Center. So my role is to meet with students one-on-one and to put in place accommodation plans, which in university is a similar to what you would know as an IEP in high school. So first, we'll just chat quickly here about some of the types of accommodations. This list is not extensive. Certainly, I will forget to mention something. But starting with classroom accommodations. Classroom accommodations can involve reducing barriers to note taking, so access to classroom recordings or class notes, or permission to audio record, which students do need permission from the Accessibility Center in order to do. And then there's also accommodations around things like assignments. So if for disability related reasons, a person might require extensions to assignments, we might add that into an accommodation plan so that professors would be notified. Moving into tests and exams, I always find tests and exams fairly straightforward. The first piece being that we do have an exam center or a testing center that is distraction reduced. So students that aren't writing in a distraction reduced space would write with their peers, which could be in a variety of classroom sizes, could be from 20 people to 200 people. In the center, our testing sizes are much smaller, and again, we keep our spaces as distraction reduced as possible. But also it allows us to add in any accommodations around things like extra time or assistive technology, which again, professors can't necessarily manage in their classroom. So at the Accessibility Center, we manage that instead. So again, that could be things like typing a test on a computer instead of writing by hand. It could be listening to text-to-speech, so listening to exams aloud and so on and so forth, which leads us right into the next point of assistive technology. Assistive technology at Dal and Kings is available for exams, but it is also available for students through our assistive technology lending library at the center, where we have either the license to some software, like software called Read Write, which allows you to listen to textbooks. Or we have a try before you buy library where you can take out some of our technology and see if it's something that you might like before you purchase it. We do other accommodations as well. Again, I say this is just a basic kind of summary of what we do. Most importantly, accommodation plans are personalized, so they're based on the disability related barriers that an individual has. And then we look at all the different aspects and then we put in place a plan. So that can include things in residence and also in co-ops or placements as well. We can move to the next slide. So the process for requesting accommodations is that, in a perfect world, you would log in through our system Accommodate. You log in as a student, as you can see there, and then it will ask you a few questions about what accommodations you're looking for. You can put as little or as much information in there as you want. That information is confidential and only remains in the center, so it just gives us an idea of what you're hoping for. And then there's a space available for you to upload any medical documentation that you may have. If you don't have medical documentation at the time of intake, you should still register, meet with us. We can discuss with you what that would then look like and how to submit the documentation. We can move to the next slide. So again, this is just showing the next page of Accommodate. So Michelle always does a great job here of once you've logged in, what does it look like? So next you're going to go in and you're going to request accommodations, as you can see on the left-hand menu there. And then it will guide you through step by step as to, the questions that I mentioned. And we can move to the next slide. So again, if your request for accommodation is related to disability rather than something like religious reasons or family status, then we do ask students to provide supporting documentation, which can vary by either diagnosis or by student situation. So typically speaking, if the diagnosis is a learning disability, we're looking for a psychological educational assessment. That is what an IEP is based upon. So many students have a copy of their IEP, and we just need the document that led to the IEP. If that documentation is, old, you should still submit it. An advisor will take a look at it, and let you know if there's anything that we need to update prior to you going ahead and doing that, because those assessments are quite expensive. For medical diagnoses, we do have a form, the disability assessment form, which Michelle's included a link to here. We ask very limited information on the form. We ask, do you have a disability, yes or no? And then how does that disability impact or medical condition impact your studies? So we kind of go through that your doctor can check off the different areas. A student that has a diagnosis that is outside of a learning disability can have this form filled out. A learning disability does need to be diagnosed by an educational psychologist, but other diagnoses can be done by family doctor. And we can move to the next slide. Okay, so most importantly, you do need to meet with an advisor. So at the Accessibility Center to talk about your accommodation plan. If you have any barriers to, the previous part, so, uploading the documentation or figuring out what to write in the form, you can just call our front desk and ask our admin person to just book in an appointment to talk with an advisor. And we can even just kind of guide you through what you need to do for next steps. So you can also do this by just logging into our online appointment scheduling system. We do our appointments either virtually or in person, but the appointment is mandatory. So what this means is that your accommodations don't automatically transfer from high school to university, and that you do need to meet with an advisor at the center in order to get the process finalized. Okay, we can move to the next slide. So this is the login system to make an appointment at the Student Accessibility Center and a lot of other services, or I should say maybe almost even most services on campus use this appointment scheduling system. So what you'll do is log in with your net ID, which is a couple letters, bunch of numbers. Looks like a bad Twitter handle, and then your password. And then once you've logged into this, we can go to the next slide here. And then it's going to ask you then what you're looking to do. Of course, you're looking to make an appointment. And you can either look at all of our schedules. So we have multiple advisors, of course, and all advisors work with King students. So you can book with any of us. You can just see either who's got space first in the calendar. You can pick me because my name starts with an A, so I'm first in the calendar. It doesn't matter whom you pick with. Next slide will show you here that you just have to pick other student. Hopefully we're going to update that, but that just designates to our system that you are a King student. Okay, the next slide shows the times here. So Michelle and I have had some updates in staffing in the time that we've last done this presentation. So myself, Jillian, and Rebecca are still Access advisors. Abby, a lovely former advisor, has moved on to graduate school. But we have several new advisors. So we have Catherine Robertson, who's a new advisor with us, Tressa Moore, who has been advisor with us for quite a few years now, and then Ashley Avery, who is the center manager. So if you want to see everybody whose schedule is available, I believe you can just pick them all and then see the first open appointment date. Okay, so now into what will happen at that next step. So once you've met an advisor and you have determined your plan or co-created your accommodation plan, we then put that accommodation plan in place permanently if your diagnosis is permanent, or if you're having a short-term diagnosis, we might put it in, for say several semesters. In order to activate your accommodations, you do have to log into our system every semester that you're taking classes and do what our system calls a renewal. So it basically just tells your advisor that yes, you're in classes. These are the right classes, because sometimes our system pulls up classes that I have no idea why. I'm not sure. Maybe you registered in it, many moons ago, but you're no longer in it. So you're just going to deselect that class if it's incorrect. And then you're going to hit submit. When you hit submit on the back end, then a notification goes to me or whomever your advisor is and just tells us to notify your classes or your professors what your accommodation plan is. And we send it to them by email. It has no personal information about the student, just name, banner number, and then a list of the accommodations themselves. For the FIP program, we do have a single, basically solution to submit our accommodation letters because there's many professors in the program. So we do submit the letters to the Associate Director of Student Support for FIP specifically. Then always important to note this last point is that the accommodation plan isn't necessarily intended to be in place forever with no changes. If there is something that comes up, as I always say, you're in a different class and you didn't expect the requirements to be what they were, then you can always reach back out to your advisor. The accommodation plan is a living document, and so we can always talk about what you may need to shift or adjust if that's needed. Okay, we go to the next slide. So for the renewal, what you will need to do is log into our system. Again, same system, Accommodate. Easy name to remember what it's for. You're going to select your accommodations or accommodations on the left. You're going to select Renew and then Renew for All. Now, Michelle, I believe, will be mentioning this in a few slides, or one of us will at least, but we do have an orientation that is coming up where we will go through all of this with students. So we'll put it up on the screen and we'll all go and activate our accommodations together. So please do feel free to sign up for that. For the next slide, it goes into test booking. So same system, once your accommodations have been renewed, the system won't actually allow you to book a test if your accommodations haven't been renewed. So that's a signal to, oh, something's missing here. We have to go back and do the renewal. But once you've done that, you can log in and book your tests. Now, I always say it's kind of like reserving a spot in a restaurant. We just need to know, what table you need, what accommodations you need, and that we have to have ready for you. Is it a multiple choice test and you don't need a computer, or is it a written test and you do need the computer? So we need notice in order to book that for all of the students that we have. So this notice has recently changed. We do need 9 days notice for during term exams, which could be things like midterms, quizzes, any timed in-class assessment. And then we need a month's notice for final exams. So for fall semester, that will lead us into early November, believe it or not. Now, my tried and true way of doing this as a neurodiverse person myself who has a very small memory on the best of days is once your accommodations are renewed, you can log in and book all of your exams for the semester. Once you receive your course outlines at the beginning of classes, you will have all your exam dates, except for your final exams, which you'll get that schedule a bit later. But you can book them all at the beginning of the term. And then that way you don't have to think about it again. And then you will get approval emails from our center when the exams themselves are approved. We can go to the next slide. So this piece is just again around our technology lending library, so the assistive technology lending library. Some of the items that we specifically have are, I believe we still have a tablet. I'd have to check that one. We do have multiple LiveScribe pens, which is a recording pen used for note taking. We are doing an assistive technology session as well in our orientation where we will go through more specifically what these items are. So I'll just kind of run through them. But Dragon Naturally Speaking is a speech to text program, so where students can speak, and then kind of like Siri, the computer will transcribe what's said, and the student will then have to go in and add, punctuation and correct any spelling or pieces like that. But we have a basically software that you can try before you buy. We also have Read Write, which isn't listed on here, but also does text to speech and speech to text. So where you can listen to your text and you can also speak and have it dictate for you. And then we do have noise canceling headphones as well. Now, the reason that students often want to try some of these things before they buy them is they may have access to the disability grant, where they may receive funding for some of these items. And any access advisors happy to help kind of explore funding options to see if you might be eligible for any of these items. Now I will pass it on to Michelle to share with us just some more about the supports at King's.
Thanks, Allison. That was really great. I also want to add at the technology lending library, we're trying to get a few things to have on our King's campus as well. So right now, currently, we have 2 laptops that are available to be signed out from the library, as well as we're getting set up an iPad that could also be signed out kind of as our own little lending library. But I mean, for now, the folks at your center, the Accessibility Center, are more more knowledgeable in the areas of with the Read Write and the technology lending library. Yeah, we're just trying to create a couple of items, if possible, to have available to King students right on King's campus. So yeah, so the team of supports at King's. So we do have several people that are available. We do have, can you go to the next slide, please, Josh? Thank you. So Isaac Wright is our student support advisor. They are a social worker. They're located in the Deborah Dean Little Community Support Center. And you're able to make an appointment with Isaac directly. They're available to talk to students looking for support and resource navigation, life changes, mental health, goal setting, or problem solving. If you're not sure what you need, Isaac can help you figure it out. Mariam McCory is a new person coming to King's on September 1st. Mariam will be our sexual health and safety officer. She'll be the interim person until the role is filled. So she's available to support students around sexualized violence, gender identity, sexual orientation, safer sex, and healthy relationships. And I know that Isaac and Mariam will be running probably a lot of table meetings where you can pick things up for free, and yeah, but get to know them. They're really great. Oh, and then there's myself. I'm the accessibility officer, and I am also located in the Dean Little Community Support Center in the Link area. And I can assist students. I can't grant an accommodation, but I can help you navigate the processes and get you in touch with somebody at the Accessibility Center. Emily Pictou Roberts is our Indigenous Support and Outreach Coordinator. She is phenomenal. In fact, we even have an Indigenous Student Center located in Alex Hall. I highly recommend getting to know Emily. She serves as a mentor to students as well, and ensures the application of Indigenous perspectives, knowledge, and approaches in support of student wellness and community building. Karen Mutiabuli is our very new Director of Equity and Community Supports, and she starts tomorrow. So Karen is going to be able to provide support and consultation to all members of our university community on issues concerning equity, diversity, accessibility, inclusion, discrimination, and harassment. She's also going to be the director of myself, of the Indigenous student support person, Emily, as well as Mariam McCory, the sexual health and safety officer, and Isaac, the social worker. And then we actually have a chaplain on campus, Father Ingalls. We have a great chapel. It's so the spirit at King's is so lovely. You could get involved with the music. They have a choir. It's a really great team in the chapel. Next, we have peer supporters. The peer supporters are King's students that are available to provide peer support one-on-one with students. Their names are Annika and Ambrose, and they are great. They're going to be coming back in the fall, and it's just really great for students to have peer-to-peer conversations. Anything from active listening, problem solving, supportive discussions, and just hanging out. They hang out in the student support advisor's office located in the Link area, and it's a really fun office. And then we have our academic advising team, Jennifer Fong and Keenan Livingston. They're both located within the registrar's office. They help students to discuss course scheduling and registration, degree paths, academic supports and processes, and other academic concerns. And there's a peer advising team also available to meet with first and second year students regarding course selection, registration, program exploration, degree planning, and other academic supports. Not to be confused with peer support workers. So there's peer I was getting this confused when I first came to King's. So there are peer advisors at the registrar's office that work with the academic advising team as well. And then Tim Clark is the Associate Director of Student Support for the Foundation Year program. So for any students taking the Foundation Year program, I highly, highly recommend that you get in touch with Tim Clark. Any students that do require an accommodation still have to get that accommodation process through the Accessibility Center. But it's just really great to get to know Tim as well and let Tim know what if you have any needs. He's really great at setting up assignment extensions and academic advising internally with the foundation year program. And then Katie Merwin is our Dean of Students, and she is on parental leave and she's due back in early November. So we look forward to her return. She's on the senior administrative team and responsible for many aspects of student life, including residence, student-facing policies, and other services which assist students in their well-being and maximize their potential. And then we have the Residence Life and Housing team. Ashley Nixon is the Assistant Dean of Residence Life, actually lives on campus. And they oversee Residence Life, resident student support and programming. And then another great team member is Jacob Burke. He's the Residence and Conference Services Coordinator, and he manages everything to do with residence application and assignment, room movements and bookings, residence withdrawals, and any kinds of questions about residents. Jacob's your guy. And then Lauren Burke is our Housing and Ancillary Services Operations Coordinator. And she oversees residence patrol and the front desk teams. She supports residence maintenance and logistics and helps coordinate housing operations throughout the academic year and summer months. And last but not least, we do have dons and patrols. The dons are upper year or graduate level students who live in the residence with the students. There's a don on duty every night and every weekend. Patrol staff are current students who are available every night from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the Manning Room. So I know we talked about a couple of these events coming up, but the assistive technology session is coming up on August the 28th at 7 p.m. I'm actually signed up for this session because I'm interested in seeing all the assistive technology that's available to be signed out, and I think it would be great if you're looking at and needing any of the technology, assistive technology devices, you want to learn what's available and what you can borrow. I think that this would be a really great session to attend. The registration is where it says registration is now open is actually a clickable link. And I noticed that there were a couple of questions already in the chat, as well as the questions section. And we will be sending the PowerPoint prior or after the webinar so that you will have access to the PowerPoint slides, but you will also have access to click on the links to get registered. The next great event that's coming up is the Able at Dal student session, as well as the parents and supporter session. They are both taking place on this Friday, August 29th, starting at 8:30 a.m. The great people at the Student Accessibility Center are running this session, and it's going to show you a lot of what we talked about today, as well as how parents can support their students or supporters supporting their students. There will also be a low sensory room available. And then I did just included a few websites that are helpful to know. They've also been throughout the presentation today as well. Accessible Kings is a site on the King's website that tells you everything, pretty much everything you need to know to register for an accommodation. And then the Student Accessibility Center website, the Accommodate software platform, again, the advisor appointment booking system, as well as the Able at Dal and upcoming events webpage on the Dalhousie site of the Student Accessibility Center, and then the assistive technology lists that we discussed today. And this is the most important information. The Student Accessibility Center is open every day from 8:30 to 4 p.m. and late appointments will be available between Monday and Thursday. In-person, phone, or Teams appointments are available. They also have a drop-in appointment every Monday morning and every Thursday afternoon, all term. The process that you have to follow is that you need to contact the Accessibility Center first thing Monday morning or first thing Thursday afternoon to get put on a list of dropping in that day. Also, new, I think this year is drop-in appointments, or maybe I just missed it last year. Drop-in appointments every day until September 19th. And that is, I think September 19th is the deadline to add or drop classes. Therefore, the Accessibility Center wants to be available to all the students that may need advice or assistance at this crucial time. You can call or walk in to see them. And the Student Accessibility Center, their email address and their phone number. I'm sure, like me, you will get to know that off the top of your head. And I think that's about it for the webinar. I think that we kind of went through that really, really quickly and smoothly. And yeah, so now we could open it up to questions.
All right, awesome. So we had a few questions come in the Q&A. I think the first one by Aaron was answered during the presentation about how to get a talk to text app. So Aaron, if you still want that question answered, you can feel free to write it back, but I think we have it covered. So go to the next question. So this is from Stella. When I go in to make an appointment with an advisor, the earliest date for anyone is in October. Is it possible to get an earlier appointment? So Allison, could you answer that one?
Yeah, amazing question. So it does look like there's no appointments in our calendar right now because we added in the drop-in. So what students can do is for the first 2 weeks of classes, just come on into the center. And actually you could still register for Able at Dal even if you're not, you haven't met with an advisor yet, because that's going to give you a whole bunch of information that you'll need to know afterwards. But come into the center those first 2 weeks. An advisor will meet you. We have a triage set up. They'll try to meet you same day. So our appointments are shorter in these first 2 weeks. We normally try to book an hour for an intake, but we will do 30-minute appointments with students during that time. So yes, it does look like there's a long delay, although that does tend to happen at the beginning of the year just because everybody's coming in at the same time. But please come in for drop-in prior to booking those appointments in October and waiting that long.
Wonderful. Thank you, Allison. And we've got another question here. We're going to get the recording of this webinar. So we will send you the recording and the PowerPoint probably tomorrow. The recording will post the video on YouTube. I'm not sure if we're posting it as a public video or a private one, but we will post the video onto YouTube and we'll send you the YouTube link where you can get access to the webinar. So you'll have the webinar, you'll have the PowerPoint, you'll be good to go in terms of having access to everything that you heard here today. Now, we also had a few questions that came in as people registered. So let's go to those ones. So the first question here is, what is student life like in the dormitory and on campus? Who will be there to help me with my future goals and the questions I may have? So Michelle, maybe you can take on this one.
Yeah, sure. Just a second here. Yeah, so what is life like in the dormitory and on campus. So King's has one, two, three, four, five, six residences, six residences. Six residences? Yes.
Yeah, well, 7 if you include the Angels Roost, but 6
Oh,
are proof.
yes. Okay,
Yeah.
I forgot the Angels Roost. My goodness. And student life is great. You know, you get to meet that's where you meet your best friends that become your best friends for life. And I know that there are single-use bathrooms, there are single showers, and there's a Dawn that lives within every floor of Alex Hall, and then there's a Dawn that lives in every house. Or I'm not explaining this very well, Josh. But just that life on campus, I mean, it's a great camaraderie. People, students go and eat in Prince Hall together. Prince Hall is the dining hall. In fact, I go there all the time for lunch. I'm not really sure how else to answer that question, other than there's all kinds of activities that happen throughout the year, like quad. What's the
So there's classics in the quad.
classics in the quad? That's what I was trying to say. There's all kinds of events that take place on campus, and yeah, I think it's a really great a great place to be, especially starting out and as a first-year student to live on campus.
Yeah, and as Michelle was mentioning earlier, there's tons of officers on campus to help you with that, whatever questions you may have. You could find Michelle in the link that is literally a hallway that links 2 buildings together. And you could also find our student, oh my goodness, the academic advisors. There we go, in the registrar's office, which is in the arts administration building. The nice thing about King's is it's in a very small quad. It is very hard to get lost on campus or not find something. So there's people around within a 30-second walk that can be able to answer your questions. So another question we have here is how to have access to my 50% extra time during tests. I'm also wondering what form of proof you'll need in order to grant it to me. So I think, Allison, that might be a question for you.
Yeah, for sure. So how to get your extra time on tests. So again, most important thing to remember here is just simply to meet with an advisor to set up your accommodation plan. So if on your accommodation plan, that is what we do. Now, I always joke that we have to call this something different at every school, and it's probably just to keep me on my toes, but 50% extra time at Dallin Kings, we call an extra 30 minutes per hour. You'll often hear it called time and a half. Same exact thing, we just have different language for it. So once that's put in order to get the extra time on any timed assessment, so timed in-class graded assessment, you would book that into the Student Accessibility Center's exam center and write the exam with us. Now, if it's an online exam or an online assessment, your professor will add the extra time in online, and you should check that and make sure that that's been done prior to starting the assessment, and contact the center or your advisor if it hasn't been added.
Thank you, Allison. And we had a question come into the Q&A. Is it possible to get a class notes if my learning disability has only been diagnosed by a family doctor? Appointments with educational psychologists are incredibly expensive, and the wait lists are incredibly long. So I think, Allison, that might be back to you.
Absolutely. It's a great question. So in that case, you should meet with an advisor to have a conversation with them about, the documentation that you do have or the information that you do have, so that we can take a look at it and assess it individually. As far as the assessments being costly? Yes, they're extremely costly, and there can be a wait for it. Now, hopefully, I'm not sure on the exact timeline of this, but Dal is actually opening a clinic that will include a cost reduced rate for students up to might even be no cost for some students. So there are resources, and there are currently resources available now, despite the fact that that's not up and running yet. There's things like through the disability grant and other types of resources that we can look at helping students with if they do need to get that assessment. The benefit of that assessment, if it is something that's determined that's needed, is it does give you, the student, a lot of information about how you learn and what resources are going to be the best for you, and kind of go from there. And again, it does make you potentially eligible for some grant funding as well through student loans, which an advisor can also help chat with. So, summary statement. Every person is an individual, and so we need to look at that case individually. So please do book an appointment with us to chat or come in during those drop-in periods in the first couple weeks of classes.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I have a question here about support specific to autism. Who wants to take that on?
Absolutely. I can grab that as well. So, we do have some specific supports for neurodiverse students as kind of an umbrella. We do have an autism community group that my colleague Tressa runs. Tressa is hilarious, which is always helpful when you're running a community group. So, I would attend her group if that's any, gives you any information about what it's like. And I feel like one time she told me she ordered pizza. So, you can get almost any of us anywhere when it comes to food. But the autism community group will typically run once a month. It is in person, and it is it's kind of a social group. So folks can come, and if you feel social, you can chat with other folks that are have similar experiences to you, or you can kind of just hang out and do the activity that they're doing. So it's pretty open that way. And then I run a group called the Executive Functioning Group, which is more specifically for students, and I might be jumping ahead here, Josh, to a future question, but more for students, or can be more for students that are experiencing executive dysfunction. So that could be, your diagnosis may be ADHD or autism, or it may be something else, and you're just experiencing those same challenges. The group runs once a week for 8 weeks. It's online, and we go through all of the different strategies and tips and things that can help students when it comes to their academics specifically. I should say for both of these groups, you don't even have to be registered with the Student Accessibility Center. No diagnoses is required. It's just you think you might benefit from that group. You're free to attend. So for Executive Functioning Group, it will run again likely in winter term. And the Autism Community Group is planned to run for fall, but usually will start around October. And I should say you can sign up for that online. When you are registered with the Student Accessibility Center, we'll send you out a newsletter, and it'll have all these dates on it, or you can always check back to our website.
So Allison, it will be located on the website under the Student Accessibility Center, because you said you don't have to be registered with the Accessibility Center to go to autism.
Yep. No, you don't. And you don't have to be registered with the Student Accessibility Center to go to our website. So you can just log on through our website and register there. It just gives us an idea of, if we're ordering pizza, how much pizza do we have to order? And tell you kind of where you need to go. So yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. And we have a question here about how can parents best support their student with making sure that due dates are met, or making sure they request for accommodations at the right time period. How can parents and supporters best support their student?
I thought that was an awesome question, and I'll let you add anything that you might have, Michelle. But the whomever asked that question, I think, would really benefit from our friends and family session that we're doing on this Friday, as Michelle mentioned. I should have also said that session is hybrid. So it's even if you're not going to be here in Halifax, the family and friends portion is hybrid. So you can log in online. I haven't quite reached the technological know-how to do both of them at the same time hybrid yet. So currently we're just doing the family and friends hybrid, but you are welcome to attend that. But some of the things we go over is those timelines. So students should always be activating their accommodations at the beginning of the semester. That's a super, super important step that students need to take and try not to forget, send an alert or a reminder. And then booking tests far in advance. We have, I think I just saw the numbers for last year and it was mind-boggling how many tests we run through our center. But during final exams, we can run close to 5,000 exams during that time, which is why we have a lot of difficulty squeezing in late exams. So we do need folks to register as soon as possible. So if parents are able to, provide reminders and parents are supporters in that way, we think that's helpful. Now, the other thing that's really important to remember for folks that are supporting students is just the kind of cycle of the semester. So, the semester will start, course outlines will be provided in every class. Students will know, when their assignments are due, when their tests are, again, except for final exams, which the schedule comes out a bit later. Always recommend, not to book any flights or home for Christmas or anything like that until you know the final exam dates exactly. So because again, they're hard and fast and they're not usually possible to move. So those are some things that we chat about in our session for family and friends. Michelle, do you have anything that you recommend?
I think you covered it really. I think again, just reminding them to be on top of things. I try to remind students as well. However, I can't always, I do, I try to get everybody to kind of, put it in your calendar but yeah, just support your student. Unfortunately, just also know that we can't tell you as parents or supporters, we can't tell you information about your student. So you can't call and ask us anything about your student, unfortunately. Um, that's how you think about it.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, parents are welcome to attend appointments with their student with us. Oftentimes parents might be CC'd on emails. We are totally fine with that in my office. The more support, the merrier in my world. But like Michelle said, yeah, we're not able to share information about the student themselves.
Wonderful, thank you. I should also mention we have about 7 minutes until we hit the top of the hour, and we have a few questions left here that were sent in before the webinar. But if you have any other questions, please put them into the Q&A. I think I just saw one notification go up. But before I get to that one, there's another question here. Is there a separate quiet space for students with accommodations to write tests and exams?
Yes, absolutely. We have the Mark A. Hill Testing Center, which is a tiny little center just outside the Killam Library, actually. And we do book rooms kind of in a couple buildings around campus that are distraction reduced. So when students put in their exam booking and it's approved, so we send a confirmation email, it will say the location of where the exam is. And if the student isn't sure where to go, they can just pop into our exam center and we will take them to the right room.
Wonderful, thank you. And now going to the question that was popped into the Q&A. If we've submitted our information through the Accommodate portal, when/how do we find out who to book an appointment with?
Great question. So for that, you need to log in and book an appointment after you submit the information to Accommodate. And as long as you're like a King student, you can book with any advisor, any one of us that has a soon appointment or the soonest appointment. Or you can come into the drop-in. Now that you've got your information in Accommodate, you just pop into our drop-ins and one of the advisors could try and see you then.
Um, So another question here from the question submitted earlier. Just need to see it here. My son had education psych testing done and qualified for extra time on his AP assessments due to processing issues. How do I send that to King's and arrange extra time on his exams this year?
Amazing question. So for that as well, that documentation can be uploaded to Accommodate. And then again, important next step is to book with an advisor, any advisor, to chat about putting that accommodation plan into place at Dell.
Thank you. And we have a question here from the chat. It says, I realize you can't breach students' privacy generally, but if our student falls into dangerous depression and stops attending class or is at risk of self-harm, what steps do you take to ensure their safety?
Great question. So yeah, health information is private, same as if you're, go to your family doctor. They wouldn't necessarily share that information or wouldn't share that information with someone once they're over 18. So we do have amazing resources on campus. So if we are concerned about a student's health, well-being, mental health, we would, as Michelle has kind of listed, there's Isaac, who is a social worker who's able to assist. We have in our health and wellness center, we have a fantastic counseling team. They are going to also be at Able at Dal to chat about how they can help. They have basically urgent appointments that if I, as a staff member, am concerned, I am able to get a student into one of those urgent appointments with counseling. So that's a couple of the options. The one thing to point out though is that university is, it's quite a different landscape than, high school. So there is that need for self-advocacy. So I won't necessarily know if one of my students isn't doing well unless they are able to reach out to me, or somebody else does. So we always talk about with our students kind of self-advocacy as well. And that includes parents. So if you are concerned, you're hearing from your student, that they're not going to class or so on and so forth, you can reach out to the advisor. I can't necessarily tell you, the parent, the results of the conversation we had, but we will absolutely hear you and take your information as it feels appropriate as well.
And on the same what kind of wavelength, I assume a parent or supporter is asked, can the student request that info from the either Allison or Michelle also be sent to the parents or grant access? The student often misses emails and therefore opportunities.
Yeah, it's a great question. In our system, we automatically email to Dal emails, or Dal or King, sorry, emails. And that's just set up so we know we're emailing the right person, we're emailing our student. So there isn't, say, an automatic way to send things like the newsletters or other pieces like that. Now, that being said, I have students that I've worked with that if the student comes to me and says, hey, I'd really like you to include my parent on this email, when we've just met, I will always happily do that. Just need a little reminder because it's not necessarily an automated system that we can do. But yeah, happy to send the email out with permission.
I'll also add to that myself. I think on the student's end, there's a way to automate where any email that goes into the student's inbox can be forwarded to an email. So if your student is open for you as your parent or supporter to have access to the emails that come in to their inbox, they can automate that and send it to the parent if they so choose to. So we got another question here from the Q&A. When will I know when the Dal Clinic is available to take tests for necessary documentation for ADHD accommodation?
Great question. So I assume they're talking about hopefully in the future, our assessment clinic that hopefully will open soon-ish. when it comes to ADHD diagnoses, that actually can be different. Other learning disabilities can be diagnosed by only an educational psychologist. Attention-related disabilities can be diagnosed by some family doctors and or a psychiatrist. So I would recommend that person just come and chat with us. They may not need that full assessment, so they should just come meet with us and talk about what next steps would be.
Wonderful. And I'm just looking at the questions that came in beforehand to see if there's anything that we just haven't answered at all in this period. No, I don't think there's anything specific here that we haven't mentioned. So yeah, thank you all for taking some time of your Sunday afternoon to listen to us talk about accessibility. If you have any, so just as a reminder, we're going to send the webinar recording and the PowerPoint to all of you. Allison or Michelle, would you mind just kind of popping in your emails into the chat so people can copy and paste them before we go?
I will put in both my email and but also our front desk because they are really great for triage at the beginning of the year. So I will send you all both.
Thank you. Awesome. So I'll give you a few seconds here to copy and paste those email addresses. Yeah, once again, thank you all for joining us. I wish you all a great kind of move-in week. Move-in day is coming up. It's on Sunday, so that's going to be exciting. You'll see myself and Michelle there for sure on the King's campus. So that's going to be an exciting day. And if you're not moving into residence, and that's the same day that orientation week starts. So if you haven't signed up for orientation week yet, I'm sure you can still do so through the King Students Union website. And it's a fun week where you get to play like relay races with your orientation team, get adjusted to the campus and Halifax. It's a really fun time to meet friends and kind of start your time here at King's. So yeah, thank you everyone. And once again, we'll send this off to you probably tomorrow, both the PowerPoint and the webinar. So thank you, Allison and Michelle, for sharing all your expertise today. And I wish you a great rest of your Sunday evening. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, folks.
Oh,
Oh, we're done, Michelle.
oh my God.
Oh, wait, hold up. I don't know if everybody's gone yet.
Recording. Oh, you're not recording? All right.
No, it is. I mean, we can cut this off at the end here. How about we go to like a different
Yeah.
video session here if you want to do a debrief.
Yeah.
All right, I want to shut this one down, but I'll send
Okay.
you an email if you wanted to debrief afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
All right, see ya.
See you in a minute.